it came to a point where we needed more space, and we were renting uh, houses from within the vicinity, until it came to a point that there were no more houses to rent. And so we decided, we needed to build our own facility. But just to give you a perspective, that 300 square meter location we had then has now transformed into a 1.3 hectare facility that we have right now. It's always nice to look back. May kasabihan sa Pilipino eh. Ang hindi marunong tumingin sa pinanggalingan. Can people complete that, please? Hindi nakakarating sa karoroonan. Di ba? So, marami pa kami karoroonan, I hope. And we will always remember yung aming pananggalingan. And I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge Miss Mary Uy. Mary, she was our partner in Market Reach, who did, really started our business. And thank you very much, Mary. So, moving here was, quite something, lots of space, lots of room, and we really appreciate this facility, and we really got so carried away. I don't think you guys noticed. We like art. I don't know if you know that, there's a piece of artwork here by no other than the master sculptor, si Ed Castrillo. And this is his last commissioned work before he passed away. So we have that, and we have a few other art pieces inside the facility. So we really love this place, and we really want to make it really as beautiful as the industrial park is. And by the way, I'd also like to acknowledge the presence here of Chito Sandariaga, who is the president of Carmel Ray. Chito, can you stand up to be acknowledged? And Chari Yulo, who is the big boss of the Yulo conglomerate, if you like. So when we built this facility, we said, we will future-proof it, and we will build it so that it will be good for 10 to 12 years. That was quite a, sino na dyan? Si Manny Villar? Okay, anyway, I'll keep on going until, is he here right now? Yes. Oh, Manny. Again, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of my former classmate, my fraternity Brad, and my fellow UP loyalist. He's the chairman of the UP Alumni Association, which we're part of. I'll do a quick story about Senator Villar here. Okay lang ba, Manny, kung kikwento ko? When I was starting the business then, before I actually started, I went to see him. Mag-Brad kami. I asked him, what do you think, Brad? Iniisip ko, magtayo ng wine business. And, so, he looked at me with a blank stare and said, wine sa Pilipinas? But, instead of being discouraged by that comment, I took that as an encouragement. Sabi ko, sige, papakita ko sa'yo na kaya namin to. And so now, we're happy to show you, Brad, na okay na kami ngayon. Anyway, let's thank Manny Villar for his presence here. And thank you, Manny, for coming. So I mentioned to you earlier that when we built this facility, we said, this should be good for another 10 to 12 years, assuming a certain growth in volume, and we anticipated significant growth. And we were growing significantly over those 10 to 12 years. So now, this point in time, 10, 12 years later, tama kami. Hanggang 10 to 12 years na pala ang kaya ng facility na binild namin. And so now, we have expanded to a point where I think we're still good for another 10 to 12 years. Again, I am very confident that Chris and Carlos can continue the legacy. To lead us to another 10 to 12 years of growth. In fact, the capacity improvement that we've done is, believe it or not, almost 3 times what we have right now. But we were not very confident then that we would achieve what we've achieved now. And so I think maybe kaya ni Chris tsaka ni Carlos yan. So what is the legacy that the succeeding generations, that I hope the succeeding generations will leave behind? Number one, the 3 points that we've always talked about as a family. Number one, we're not really in the wine business, as Chris may have referred to earlier. We are in the business of fulfilling unfulfilled consumer aspirations, of which one of them is wine. There's a lot of unfulfilled aspirations in wine, and wine was appropriately a product that fulfilled aspirations. We are starting to become a wine drinking country. I guess the best comparison I'd like to make is like Apple, although of course we're nothing compared to Apple. But Apple at one point was considered a computer company, right? But not anymore. They are in the business of the application of technology to improve the lifestyle of consumers. That's what we hope to be in the consumer field as well. Fulfill unfulfilled consumer aspirations. Secondly, we're not about value, how much assets we have, how much income we make. But we're about values with the S at the end. There's a big difference, as you know. Value is quantitative or quantifiable, numbers, but values are priceless. Our company subscribes to specific core values in the way we run our business, and these values cannot be violated. The third point I wanted to make was we're committed to the environment. The wastewater, I think as Chris explained earlier, of winemaking is very toxic, really toxic. Just to give you an idea, a typical waste of a household is like, I forget the numbers, I forget the explanation of the number, but it's about 300 to as high as 700. Our toxic waste, in terms of called BOD, biological oxygen demand, goes as high as 200,000, even more sometimes. So if you can imagine, how do we treat that toxic waste? And we found a way to do that, not only economically, believe it or not, but using environmental friendly raw materials. We use cocoa peat to absorb the waste, the toxic waste that we have. And by the way, as the cocoa peat absorbs the toxic waste, all we do is simply evaporate it, and whatever residue remains in the cocoa peat actually becomes fertilizer, believe it or not. We have the facility right there. I'm surprised actually, but why not many other companies do that? And maybe my good friend Juno Mali here will think of doing that in Gardenia. Gardenia is also the market leader in the bread business, and Juno Mali is the president. Juno, gawin mo, I will help you out. Carlos and Chris have really covered what needed to be said, but I will leave you with 2 thoughts. Number one, our mission, very important, is to make wine part of the Filipino way of life, to fulfill unfulfilled aspirations. And we are like missionaries. Our job is to convert. We want to convert people into wine drinking and have their share of fun, have their share of a nice lifestyle with wine. And the second, we're simply stewards. Owners can pretty much do whatever they like with their business, right? But the stewards, we answer to a higher being. We have been so blessed that we want to pass on the blessings to others as well. And who's the one who we answer to? Is the one who turned water into wine. You know who he is, right? I'd like to leave you with a verse from the Bible. It's from Psalm 127, verse 1, first part of verse 1, and I quote from the ESV. Unless the Lord builds the house, who build it, it labors in vain. Thank you very much.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. A big hand one more time for the dashing and handsome and the founder of the Fountain of Youth, Mr. Nonoy Quimbo.